wealth.
We think we have college football, but we also have basketball. We even have tennis. We have politics. We have academia, a whole bunch of stuff in one human being who happens to be the commissioner of the Pac-12. He's been the CEO of the WTA. He was also the captain of the Harvard men's tennis team. We'll get into all of that. Larry Scott, how's that for an intro?
That sounds pretty good. Thank you.
So let's get to the matter at hand, first of all. We are at college football, college basketball time, and you basically have the ability to tout something other conferences don't, which is a watershed deal with Alibaba, the Pac-12, the China deal, penetrating China like no other college football conference. Talk a little bit about that.
So this is really unique to our conference and our schools being, the leading universities and biggest academic brands on the West Coast. Schools like UCLA, Stanford, Washington. I mean, these are major global universities, and I was really impressed when I got here about the focus on globalization of the university and kind of quickly posited to the presidents and chancellors of the universities. If sports is supposed to be the front porch of the universities, and globalization is this trend and this important strategic priority for the university, is there a role for sports to play in that dimension? And the leadership of our university was very excited about it. So that led us down a path where tapping into some of my prior experience in pro tennis, where I spent a lot of time internationally, a lot of time in Asia and China, focused on developing opportunities for student athletes to participate in sporting competitions and developing some relations over there, which not only resulted in great trips and great experiences for the student athletes, but has created a platform where our universities can tell their story, engage with prospective students, alumni, strategic partners they have over there, and there's a growing commercial interest as well.
Let's talk for a minute about television, because you're a pioneer there again. Pac-12 TV, it doesn't start out of whole cloth. You had to bring Fox and ESPN to the table. You had to prop up rights. You had to get the presidents and chancellors to buy into your vision. How does that all happen?
Well, we definitely had to develop some consensus around doing things differently than we had done in the past. It started with getting an agreement that we would pool all media rights in the center and not have national packages versus local school-controlled packages. So, that was kind of...
it was Green Bay Packer-esque of the NFL, right?
Yeah, well, stealing a page from the most successful sports league starts with, bundling. Yeah. All of your rights in the center and being able to, make the most of the opportunity. But for us, it also came with agreeing to share revenue equally, which, was something behind the scenes, but a critical factor in getting our universities to believe that rising tide would float all boats, that they would do better collectively with a cohesive package, but all had a benefit the same way. So that was key. And then developing a hedge strategy where we tried to maximize revenue and exposure through third-party licensing of rights, which we were fortunate to be able to do successfully with ESPN and Fox, but holding back enough so that we could get in the business of starting our own media company. We believe that over time, technology would evolve and change, and really were intrigued with the idea that we could be masters of our own destiny and control our own programming, because, core to our mission is not just, revenue sports, football, men's and women's basketball. It's also about promoting Olympic sports. Pac-12 wins more NCAA titles than any other. We've got all these Olympians and wanted exposure and a promotional vehicle for those sports as well. Knew we had to do our own thing if we were going to have a platform for that. So we were fortunate that we were able to launch our own network, do it ourselves. And little did I know that the world would change as rapidly as it has, but it's really caused us to feel good about that decision, because now we see direct to consumer, we see these technology companies coming on board, we see over the top emerging, and we're in it, and we're engaging with fans and viewers and distributors and have a deeper understanding of some of the dynamics and changing landscape that others might.
Well, the holding back from the big guys and the equal revenue share are always visionary concepts, and every leader wants to facilitate that. But it also takes, I guess, a little bit of table pounding and a little bit of leverage and a lot of advocacy to pull that off at the same time. Hard to do?
Very hard to do. I think for any commissioner, people focus a lot on, the business acumen and what they see externally, but it's often, the diplomatic efforts behind the scenes don't get a lot of attention. That is really the art, I think, of leading a successful league of any kind, because, members have different interests. We've got big schools, small schools, urban schools, rural schools, public schools, private schools, strong football schools, strong basketball schools, strong women's gymnastics schools, with a lot of different masters to serve. So, the art form is really about creating a vision that everyone can buy into and compromise around and getting people to believe in the idea that everyone will be better off if we're able to achieve certain things collectively that otherwise can't be achieved on your own. Because it does, it is give and take. It is compromise along the way, whether it's in how you share revenue, which schools or sports are going to be on TV, the times you play. There's a lot that goes into it, of course.
Larry Scott, there's another issue too. You talked about 7,000 student athletes that you directly represent. You have a history with the WTA of equal prize money in tennis. You have Title IX hanging out there. How do you reconcile the gross revenue production disparities between football and basketball and your obligation to deal with all of these other sports as well?
Yeah, well, I've always enjoyed working in sports where you feel like you're making a contribution just, beyond the commercial success. As you point out, one of the things I took a lot of pride in at the WTA was, the fight for equality and social justice. And one of the things I love about being in college sports and at the Pac-12 is, associated with the universities doing things the right way that are changing the world in a very positive way from a macro sense. And in athletics, with 7,000 student athletes, many of whom are the first in their family to go to college, about a third of whom are on significant scholarships and are able to graduate debt-free, very different from, the typical student. There's a lot of great opportunity, a lot of great things happening for young men and women because of intercollegiate athletics in the Pac-12, maybe even getting into better schools academically than they would get into otherwise, that I get to see day in, day out when I visit our campuses, when I work with our coaches and programs. So I'm just very excited about what the mission of intercollegiate athletics is about. Not necessarily that which gets all the media attention, but from the seat that I sit in and the interactions I'm able to have with our universities, I see the thousands of student athletes benefiting from the system. So I do believe deeply in the intercollegiate athletics model, that these are students, that they're going to school, and through sport they're getting opportunities for an education and financial support for that's going to help them be better off throughout their whole life as a result. And for the precious few, and I really mean precious few, I'm talking about 2% about of our 7,000 student athletes that are good enough and have the desire to want to go on and make sports their career, they have that opportunity as well.
Should they be paid? Are they paid already? Should they be paid in the Power Five? Should there be recruiting restrictions put on it? That all is going to shake out over time. What's your stance?
Yeah. So, and it's currently being litigated. My stance is they should not be paid salaries. They should not be employees. They should be students first and foremost, but they should be treated extremely well and supported in terms of, the ability to have academic success, to be supported in terms of medical coverage, to be given every opportunity to be successful in whatever they want to do. But I don't believe that they should be treated as professionals. I think that comes next. College is a great pathway for those that want to do that want to play pro sports and get paid, and they can, depending on the rules of any particular sports league, that's what governs when they can go to the pro leagues. So college, the great thing about the Pac-12 and the other big conferences is, for those that want to go the pro sports route, they can do it, and take advantage as much as they want of the educational opportunity. For those that first and foremost, want the educational opportunity, they do that and then go on to something else in their life.
Well, finally, so as a WTA CEO, it's 40% increase in prize money and that $88 million Sony deal and the $750 million in facilities. You take on a new job in a sport you're familiar with in July of 2009. Has it been everything that you thought it would be? Surprised with how your accomplishments have resonated? A lot more to be done. What's your emotional take on the transition?
I didn't fully know what to expect, to be honest. I knew that, and what I was attracted to first and foremost was the quality of the universities, and loved being associated with quality people, quality brands, and I knew there was a sense that they wanted to take a fresh look at their media approach, their marketing approach, and I thought my background and skills would translate. And I was passionate about it because I was a student athlete myself. I knew I would enjoy that. But, beyond that, there was a ton I didn't know about the politics of intercollegiate athletics, the dynamics of who you work with on the campuses, and I really, really have loved it. But my favorite part of it is the opportunity to engage with the student athletes themselves when I travel around to the competitions and the campuses. As you know, because you enjoy getting out to campuses and teaching, keeps you young, keeps you thinking fresh, keeps you on your toes, and always evolving your perspective on things. So I really enjoy being in an environment around a lot of young people in an environment like universities where